everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Libby. In this video, I want to tell you my story, how I learned Japanese and English. I also want to share with you some of the tips that I think helped me a lot when I was learning languages. Before we get into that, I want to introduce myself a little bit. I originally coming from China and I live in Japan right now. I grew up speaking Mandarin Chinese only. I didn't get a chance to learn a second language until I was 18 years old, and I do not consider myself as a very talented person to learn new languages. So I just want to let you know it is not impossible for you to master a new language. Even you're not very talented or you started late. Just listen to my story. I hope you will find it helpful. Anyway, I was learning Japanese when I was in college. I didn't choose this major. My parents did. They always think if I could speak another language, it's gonna help me to find a better job in the future. But myself, I didn't have any interest to learn Japanese. I wasn't watching anime. I'm not interested in Japanese culture or fashion or makeup or anything. I don't see the point to learn Japanese. So I wasn't studying at all. I would just go out with my friends every day, just hang out and enjoy my college life. Until one day things changed. My friends stood me up, so I had to stay in my dorm the whole day, and I was super bored. I don't have anything else to do. And I was watching my roommate trying so hard to try to memorize this long Japanese article, and it reminds me that was actually one of the homework. Normally I wouldn't do it, but that day was special. I didn't have anything else to do. I thought, oh well, I would just give it a try. So I studied and I studied. I thought I did a good job. I thought I remembered everything. And the very next day, I was reciting this Japanese article in front of everybody. And after I finished, I was actually really proud of myself. I didn't forget anything. And my Japanese teacher said one thing to me that broke my heart. She said, oh well, your accent was just awful. I was really shocked. I was embarrassed. I mean, I studied hard. Don't I deserve a little bit praise? But anyway, that's what she said to me. So I was super pissed off. I decided I will study so hard and one day I will become the best in this class. So from that day, I stopped going out with my friend. I would just stay in my dorm and listen to CDs and repeat after it. Sometimes I even record myself, compare with the CD, see if there's anything I wasn't doing right, and I will try to fix it. I will read one single Japanese article for over 30 times. When I'm saying read here, it's not like you reading silent. What I'm saying read here is actually you read out loud. So yes, I will read one single Japanese article for over 30 times. I will read until I'm having a headache. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I talk too much, I would just have a headache. I don't know why. Yes, so I was doing that for about half a year. So 6 months later, I was able to communicate in Japanese without any problems. I could even talk without thinking. I was the best one in my class. So here's the beauty of read out loud is that it helps you to get used to the accent. It helps you to get used to the structure of the language. So you're basically training the muscles in your mouth. Whenever it requires you to speak, it just came out because you have been practicing for so long and the muscles in your mouth remembers everything. So I definitely recommend you to try this method out. Another thing I highly recommend you to do is to have a lot of input. That's how I learned my English. So my English was so bad, I don't even know how many letters in English. I mean, I know how A looks like, I know how B looks like, I just don't know how many are they. The only sentence I could say in English is I am Libby. Don't get me wrong, we do have English class in China, but I have never ever heard any of my English teacher speaking anything in English, so that doesn't really count. Yes, my English was just like awful. And I have this German friend. We communicate with each other in Japanese. He wanted to learn Chinese, and his Japanese was like super good. He sounds like native. So I want to practice my Japanese with him. So we teamed up. I teach him Chinese. And one day he invited me to this Halloween party. I sort of know that's gonna be a bunch of foreigners there. So on the way there, I asked him to think of an English name for me because I thought it's gonna be easier for me to introduce myself. And he said, okay, so what do you think about Libby? And I said, okay, that sounds good. So we were there, and I was the only Asian there, and everybody was super curious about me, and I thought maybe I should introduce myself. So I said, hi, I'm Libby. While I was saying this sentence, I feel like I'm sweating. I was shaking, my voice was shaking. I was super nervous. That was the very first time I actually said anything in English and in front of a lot of people. So of course I was scared. And the worst part is one of the guy asked me, how do you spell your name? But back then I didn't know what he was saying. I feel embarrassed. I just want to escape because everybody was staring at me. I don't know how to respond. And I just said, I don't know. So the whole time I was there, I didn't enjoy the party at all because everybody was speaking English to each other. I couldn't understand anything. That was very embarrassing. And after the party, I asked my German friend, what was that guy asking? And he said, oh, well, he just asked, how do you spell your name? And I thought, oh, well, that sounds stupid. I don't even know how I spell my name. But the fact was, I didn't understand what he was talking about. But that wasn't enough motivation for me to learn English. I always know, since it is a global world, to be able to speak English is going to help me a lot in the future. But I just couldn't find myself a strong motivation until I came to Japan as exchange student. I started to watch a lot of YouTube video. I started to listening to TED Talks. Of course, I only watch the ones that has Chinese subtitles. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to understand a thing. So I was doing that for about a year and a half. Then I got a job from school. I would just go to airport, pick up new exchange students and show them around the campus and basically just help them to get used to the life in Japan. Most of them don't speak Japanese very well, and my English was so bad. So we would just like use gesture to try to communicate with each other, and somehow that worked. I even made some friends out of them, and they will invite me to go to parties or hang out together. At the first, I didn't really want to go because I don't want what happened in the Halloween party happen again. But I don't want to refuse them for too many times. I thought it's too rude. So sometimes I would just go out with them, but I was always the one that sat in a corner and be silent. Because it was so hard. Yes. Meanwhile, I was still watching YouTube videos and listening to my TED Talks for another about a year. And I found myself could understand what was my friends talking, and I could understand YouTube videos even I wasn't watching the subtitles. And I thought, oh wow, the input thing really worked out. But I didn't know that I was like doing a lot of input back then. I was just really into watching a lot of YouTube videos. I said to myself, oh well, since I could understand right now, why don't I try to speak? Here's another thing about learning a new language. You have got to speak. If you don't speak, if you don't make any mistakes, you can't learn. So I decided to get out of my comfort zone and actually to speak with people in English. But it was really tough. It requires a lot of courage, and not always there's nice people be patient to try to understand what you were trying to say. Some people will laugh at my accent and make fun of me. I had a lot of struggles. I'll give it up a little bit and then coming back again and just keep trying. And now here I am, 3 years later. I could communicate in English without much troubles. I know my accent isn't very good yet, and I think that's because I skipped the read aloud part. I was kind of being lazy. Yes, so that's my story how I learned 2 languages. I think if you decided to learn a new language, you have got to find yourself a very strong motivation to keep you going forward. Otherwise, you will just give it up easily whenever you feel frustrated. I highly recommend you to try the read out loud method. I think that's gonna help you. Once again, I know it takes time and it requires a lot of effort, but I guarantee you if you can keep doing that for a while, it's gonna have a good result. And another thing is the input thing. Just find the TV shows that speaks the language you desire to learn. YouTube is a good platform. Try to find a YouTuber you like that speaks the language. Have a friend that speaks the language helps a lot. The read out loud thing is also an input. Listen to the CD, it's an input, and then you repeat after it. You can hear yourself. That's input. There's a lot of apps out there. You can always talk to yourself. That's what I do. Whenever I feel like I need to practice, I will just talk with myself. I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but I do make sure whenever I do that, I make sure I wasn't surrounded by people. So yes, that's all my advice. I really hope that you find it helpful. I do have another video talking a little bit more about that read out loud method thing. I filmed that in Japanese, but I did put English subtitles there. So if you're interested, I will put the link down below in the description box. If you're interested, go check that out. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give a thumbs up. If you're interested in Japanese culture or Japanese language, make sure you subscribe. I know right now my videos are done in Chinese or in Japanese, but I do plan to make more videos in English. So yes, please subscribe. Anyway, good luck with your learning journey. I know it's hard, I know it's frustrating, but please don't give it up. It's so amazing after you learn the language. You could talk with different people, you can learn so many things. So hang in there, and I will see you next time. Bye!